Hey, Teachable Tribe, Ashley over at Teachable. Thrilled today to be sitting down with Gena for this Make Change interview. Gena, you want to say hey and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm Gena Shingle Jaff, and I am a sparkly lawyer for entrepreneurs. So I'm super excited to be here to chat with everyone about, courses and what you need to legally protect yourself.
Absolutely. So Gena's content is amazing because compared to a lot of other coaches out there, she has this law degree to really show you guys how to protect yourself in your business, your terms of service, your privacy, partnerships, etc. But Gena, let's start from the beginning. You now work outside the 9-to-5, but you went to law school. So how did you make that decision to go to law school and then eventually leave?
Yeah, I never had any intention on leaving the corporate world. I didn't know really about I knew what an entrepreneur was, but I never was really exposed to that. My parents are working class. So for me, it was like, you go, you get your degree, you work until you can retire and live off your 401k, which sounds pretty boring, but it's really what I knew.
Yeah. It's so safe too for a lot of people.
Yeah, there's security, there's stability, and I really valued that. And when I met my now wife, she was a business coach at the time. So she was like, you should start your own business, because I was really unhappy where I was, and I was working all the time and I was just burned out. So I was a corporate lawyer in New York City.
Jeez, I'm sure those hours were insane, as if law school wasn't as well.
Right. I loved law school. I'm like a big nerd, but it's, practicing is different, especially when you're like the low person on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So about 6 months into us dating, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I saw like a really huge market opportunity where there's like so many entrepreneurs and not a lot of lawyers who serve them. So I kind of just made the leap in January of 2014.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been crazy. It's been great. It's been scary. It's been a roller coaster. But I'm in my house right now, so it's pretty cool.
Wow. Absolutely. So that leap is huge. How did you really get the impetus to not only to think about it, but actually make that shift, going from corporate lawyer to, did you start out with a side hustle, or did you have a business set up, or was it just blank slate, let's start?
So because I was working at a law firm, I couldn't have like a side business doing legal stuff, because of that. So what I was doing was I was really connecting with people. Yeah. And I met, my wife being in the industry, I met a ton of people who basically were like, we need you. So I walked into having a ton of clients right off the bat, which is amazing. So I, while I was still at the firm, I hired a web designer to get my website up and running. And I kind of was, kind of pulling people, seeing like, what do they need? Like, asking new friends, who are entrepreneurs, like, where do you see the gaps? And just kind of coming up with different offerings so that when I did quit my job, the next day my website went live.
My gosh.
Like, boom,
Yeah. And what were those first steps? Once you had the days to start working on it, where did you initially put your effort?
So, when I initially started, I didn't know anything other than working with clients one-on-one. Like, that's all that I knew. So what I did was I offered a ton of free calls with people to really kind of talk to them, to see where they were, to let them know what I think that they needed, where the gaps were in their business legally. So I was working a lot. And I was like, wait a second, it's great that I'm working a lot from home, but I also wanted to have more flexibility in my life. So about 3 months in, I decided to offer more passive products. I started selling legal templates, and I created a legal course. So I wanted, because my wife, she was working with private clients, but she also had a group coaching program. And I was like, I want a group program, but I don't know how that would work as a lawyer. So I had hired a coach, and, we kind of figured out how to package things together where I'm working with a lot of people at once, giving them the things that they all really need.
Absolutely.
In one package. And so that's really turned into my bread and butter, and it's a different course now than it was then, but it's been like my big money maker.
Absolutely. So I read on your blog that you went through B School with Marie Forleo. We're huge Marie fans, and Laura, talking Shrimp, who works with her a lot, is like, girl. So tell me about that experience. At what point did you decide to invest in a course like this?
So I actually bought B School like a month into me starting my business.
Wow.
So it was right in the beginning, and it was because my coach had taken B School in the first iteration.
Oh,
and she was like, it's such an incredible place. You can connect with so many people. You know, the Facebook group is full of thousands of other entrepreneurs. And for me, you know, coming from working in a law firm, I had a good amount of savings put aside already. So I was like, oh, this $2,000 investment, you know, isn't a ton for me, and it's going to make me money because I'm going to connect with all these people plus get all this amazing content. So for me, it was, I mean, well worth the investment. I've gotten a ton of clients. I've gotten business connections. You know, it's been, you know, really, really great. And Marie is like my hero.
Yeah. She really is. She's wonderful. Every email I'm like, yes. Yeah, that's awesome. And I like how you talk about that too, as educating yourself is an investment, because always at the beginning and putting down that money can feel a little difficult.
Sure. But I came in knowing nothing about running an online business. You know, I had like my wife did it, but like it's, you know, it's a different industry, it's a different whatever. So and she actually never did B School. So for me, it was like, oh, you know, I'll do this, whatever. And it was a lot of information. Like I always say, like whenever I talk about B School, I'm like, geez, Marie, like there's so much information, like it was amazing. But I was like a little overwhelmed, but it was incredible. And I had such success with it that I continue to promote it to this day.
Yeah. That's awesome. So it's interesting then, you know, you took a course, and courses were your first product. Is that true?
Well, I did one-on-one contracts.
One-on-one contracts. And you had a website before all that. So it was website, contracts, and then course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how did that go? Courses first time around, like interested how, I mean, it's a natural progression, but how you picked courses over a podcast or a subscription or consulting.
Yeah. So back in 2014, membership sites weren't really as big as they are now. Mm-hmm. And podcasts weren't as popular either. Like I feel like bigger people had podcasts. Yeah. And I think that a course is like less of an investment timing wise. You know, podcasts, you have to do it either every week or every month or whatever. Mm-hmm. A course, I thought, you know what, I can reach a lot of people at once. And it's pretty passive the way that I have it set up. It's my income is pretty passive. So for me, it seemed like a no-brainer just because I saw so many people doing it, but no lawyer, at least that I had found, was doing a course. Yeah. So I was like, So it took a little bit of like brainstorming and trial and error to figure out like what to do, because it hadn't really, again, maybe it had, but I hadn't seen anything, hadn't really been done before. And so I did like a beta run of it.
Oh, very cool.
It was really inexpensive, and I got a good amount of people to sign up for it actually. And it ended up going really well, and those people became my testimonials. And because it was kind of like, okay, what works, what didn't. And then from that beta, I turned it into like this full-blown course that did have a back-end membership site. So it was really good for me to see what worked, what didn't, what did I like, what didn't I like, kind of things like that.
That's awesome. And you know, that is a big point for a lot of our people out there. It's like finding that idea and finding your niche and where you fit in. So could you dig into a little bit how you refined your idea for this course?
Yeah. So at first I was like, okay, I did a 4-week course. It was 4 weeks. They got 4 legal templates, and each week was like a theme. So it was like client contract, privacy policy, you know, stuff like that. And I had like office hours. So in a Facebook group, people could ask me questions. And then I did like a Q&A call. So from there, I was like, okay, you know, I saw what people liked. I saw people didn't, or at least for me, I was like, you know what, I don't really like this format as much. I wanted to give more. So I ended up throwing more contracts in. And I made it so that it was self-paced study. So basically, once you signed up, you got everything, and it was like up to you to watch the lessons on your own, because some people were like, oh, I really need this document now. Can I get it sooner? So I was like, okay, you know what? Like when people are finally at that place where they're ready to invest in legal, you kind of need a bunch of stuff at once. So I did that. So then when I relaunched the full program, I did it that way, where you signed up, you got everything right away, but I still had Q&A calls. I still had like the Facebook group where you could ask me questions, kind of stuff like that. So Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So I also read on your blog, you talk a little bit about your first business failure. And I love that, because it's not perfect for everyone. It's not perfect for actually most of us going in the first time around. And you've come back so strongly from that. So do you want to tell people what you went through? Because I'm sure there's someone out there right now who's listening and experiencing that right now.
Yeah. Well, first, I don't like calling it a failure. I like looking at it more as like a lesson.
Right.
So my first 9 months in business, I made 6 figures. Cool. And then after my first year of business, I almost had to file bankruptcy. So what happened was I invested in everything. I bought so many courses. I hired so many coaches. I traveled the world going to conferences and events and retreats. And I learned incredible things, but I didn't take the time to implement them because I was going to the next event or the next retreat. I was on 30 plane rides that year.
Whoa.
And yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was too much. And like coming from corporate, you're used to that steady paycheck that comes in every other week. And one forgets that not only do you have business expenses, but also you have your life expenses. I was living in New York City and I didn't really change my lifestyle.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I feel the same way. And yep.
Right. And then I also got married that year. And so there was just a lot that was going on. Right. Yeah. A lot of stuff, a lot of expenses. And I was literally, I took a picture and I've written a blog post about it that I had, I think like 23 cents in my bank account at one point.
Yeah.
And I actually went into a really deep depression because I was like, everyone when I started my business, people were like, this is crazy. You shouldn't do this. You have such a great job. What if you don't make money? And it was like, this is coming true. Like everyone's fear, my worst fear was happening. And it really took a toll on me. And I started applying. Right.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really hard. And I felt a lot of shame and embarrassment around it. And now I've learned that it's nothing to be ashamed of, but regardless then, and I was going to go back to a law firm. I was applying for law jobs and, I decided, I don't know what the kind of catalyst was, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself one more chance. And it's funny, I promoted B school that year and I made a good amount of money that I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do one more launch. I'm going to give this one more go. And I put everything I had into this launch. Blood, sweat, tears, everything. Mm-hmm. And I made $170,000 in that one launch and it saved my business.
Wow.
And my sanity.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's so human, I would feel those same things. And especially in New York where everyone's talking about their career. The first question is what do you do? Wow, you did it. You just sat there and you're like, okay, I'm going to give it one last shot. I like that.
Yeah. And I didn't really have doubt. A little bit at first, but I was like, you know what? I can't. I have to believe that this is going to work. I believe in my product. I believe in my course. I'm so passionate about it. I love what I do. And I put, I took half of the money that I made from B school and I put it towards that. I was like, I did Facebook ads. I hired a videographer. I hired a launch strategist. I did a bunch of things that weren't frivolous, but it was so necessary to make this the big launch. Mm-hmm. And it worked. And I got affiliates too. I had other people promoting my course for me as well. So it ended up just being perfect. Yeah. And so grateful.
Yeah. And okay, taking a step back though, $170K launch, huge. That's massive. This is the kind of thing we dream of.
Yeah.
How? What do you think made this launch so successful?
I think, definitely affiliates helped a lot. I got in front of so many people that I normally wouldn't have gotten in front of. So I give huge credit to my partners, the people who were really helping me and supporting me. But I think a lot of it was my attitude and my mindset that I was just this is going to work. This is amazing. My course is amazing. I did webinars. I did videos. I was in front of people all the time.
Videos, great content. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in front of people constantly. And I was trying to not make it super salesy, but rather like inviting. And this is like what you need. And for a lot of people, what they said to me is that like I changed the way the law kind of appears. It's like the law is not so scary. It's a little more fun. It's a little sparkly and glittery. And, that
it's not 10,000 words of black and white text that you can't understand.
Right. Or $10,000 to get all of these things.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it was a lot. It was a lot of things. It wasn't just me, that was a part of it. So
absolutely. So I'm just curious, with your affiliates, what was your affiliate deal?
So I had, my course has changed since then. I actually partnered with another lawyer, but back then it was that affiliates got 50%. So it was like B-School affiliates, like you got 50% for everyone who signed up through your unique link.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Because that's a feature on Teachable, and I know people are using it more and more now than what we saw before. So
yeah,
I love that. And that really is a lesson. And I'm so, it makes sense that you would bounce back. Your content is so needed and on point and hits a pain point, but glad to hear it happened as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to take this chance to ask you a little bit of legal questions. And, obviously everyone should read your website, check out your courses, but what is the biggest mistake you're seeing entrepreneurs do in terms of, how they're applying the law to their business?
They're not.
Yeah.
That's it. They're not. Or they're just kind of whipping together pieces of verbiage to make a contract, which is better than nothing, I've got to say. But a lot of people say to me, I need to get a few clients first before I can invest in a lawyer. And that's a huge mistake, because everything that you have right now, your business, your income, your brand is on the line when a client hires you, because you never know what's going to happen. And I don't like using fear-based marketing at all. I think it's icky, but at the same time, it's true that you're creating this business that's like your baby, and you need to take care of it like you would a baby. And you want to protect it. And that's what the law is there to do. The law is really there to protect you. And so that's why it's so important. People are like, oh, well, I just got a website done. And I was like, well, you actually need things for your website. Like it's kind of like, people don't have legal as part of their top priority when it should be up there.
Yes. And what are the first 3 things that someone might need?
Yeah. So it really depends on the type of business that you have.
Yeah.
And as like a disclaimer, this is, because as a lawyer, I have to, this isn't legal information, but just advice, or not advice, but information, just to this is just information to give you, because again, I don't know your business, but if you're running an online service-based business, for example, most of my clients do, you want to have a client contract. So if you're working with clients, you need to have a client contract, something in writing that's going to say, this is what I'm giving you, this is what you're paying me, this is what you can do with the materials, this is what you can't do with the materials, kind of stuff like that.
Right.
Really there to protect all parts of your business, and it actually protects the client as well, to make sure that you deliver on what you promised. So it's actually like a really beautiful document.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right. And then if you have a website, there's actually 3 documents that go on your website, and they protect different areas of your website. There's a disclaimer, which protects your liability, meaning like if there's something on your website that people read and they apply in their own life and something goes wrong, they can't come back and sue you because of it. So that's a disclaimer. The second is terms and conditions. That protects the content of your website. So the copy, the images, everything like that. So people can't just swipe your stuff and put it on their site, which people do.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough. And then the last document is a privacy policy, which is legally required in many states in the U.S. Basically, it says you might sign up for my newsletter and give me your name and email, or buy a program or a product and give me your credit card information, and I promise that I won't sell that information or spam you. So those are really the 4 big legal musts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know there are a ton of resources on your website for everyone who's watching this and wants to check it out. We'll link to them below. Going through, I'm thinking of mine of Teachable. Okay. Great to know. Perfect. So just taking a step back, high level, you are now in a place where you're running a successful business. You have courses, you have content, everything is on its way. What has been the best part of running your business?
just having like the freedom and flexibility to live my life as well as running a business, you know. I mean, just being able to, you know, I'm pregnant right now. So being able to take time to, you know, just like be present and take care of my body, because I was really sick the first trimester. And I don't know how women work like full-time jobs when they're pregnant. That's been like such a huge gift for me to be able to relax and rest when I needed it. And getting to see family. You know, I see my family a lot. I see my in-laws a lot, and they don't all live around here. So being able to travel and see them whenever we want to is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And do you have plans for the future with your business? Any big things coming that we should know about?
So I'm relaunching a legal course
Yeah.
with my partner. Her name's Lisa Fraley, another lawyer. The course is called Damsel Goes Bear. And we call it a legal course with sparkle and soul. She's very soulful and I'm very sparkly. So we're launching that again in October. So it's super exciting.
Okay.
And then I'm planning on taking some time off for maternity leave.
You should. I was going to say, yeah, I have this question written down, but if I were you, I'd be like, ah.
Yeah. So we're planning on launching that, and then I'm going to, you know, take a little bit of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then before I let you go, what is your one last bit of advice for anyone out there who is where you were when you were a lawyer and thinking, hey, this doesn't feel right. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Can I do this? Can I?
Right.
What would you tell that person?
You can, but don't try to do it on your own. You know, it can be very lonely being an entrepreneur. You know, find a networking group, hire a coach, find somebody else to be kind of an accountability buddy. But you can do it. It just takes a lot of commitment, a lot of passion, a lot of energy and time, but it's so worth it. And if you're unhappy, you know, then why are you doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. All right, guys, this was Gena. Make sure to check out the links in the post. She has a ton of great advice, and we'll see you soon.